Okay, guys. So can you please turn your cameras on? Make sure that you have your cameras on for the class. Everyone? Rodrigo, Bruno, Fernanda, Romina. What's Sergio? Okay, guys. So today we're going to start with the speaking section, and we're actually going to dedicate, I think, 2 weeks for the speaking section. So this week we're going to start with the first question. We're going to practice a lot, especially the first one. And next week are going to be for the question 2 and 3. And actually, we're going to be taking a week more to go through question 4 as well. So the speaking section, we're already here. So for the speaking section overall, if you want to have an idea of how this works, so in the speaking section, you got 4 tasks. So it used to be that you had 6 tasks. I don't know if any of you has taken the simulation test, for instance. So in that test that you guys have probably taken, you must have noticed that you got like 6 questions in the speaking section. So that used to be the previous speaking section, from the previous test. But starting August 2018, I think, they have updated the test, and now you only get 4 tasks, which is a good idea. It was a good idea. So, okay. So I think it's also important that you guys know that you have both independent and integrated tasks. And if you guys remember what that meant from the writing section, independent basically means that you don't have to do anything before you answer the question. You don't have to read or listen to anything. It's just you get the question and you answer it. However, the integrated ones means that you have to do something before you get to speak, So either you have to read something, sometimes you have to listen to a lecture or so, and then you only then can answer the question. And it's obviously based on information that you have read or that you have listened to. It's not an information that you're gonna make up. So that's the difference between independent and integrated. And out of these 4 questions, you get the first one, which is the independent one, and the rest of them are all of them integrated. Okay, so the only different one will be the first one, and the rest are integrated. What else? So today we're going to be going through the first one, question 1. So about the whole speaking section, if you guys are wondering how this is scored, then I have here, pretty summarized, some pretty summarized information about, the rubric that they use or the criteria that they use to evaluate your speaking responses. So you have some categories here, as you can see. So the first one would be fluency, which, obviously that's what they're looking for. They're trying to measure how fluent you are, in English. So they're going to be looking for that in the speaking. And fluency basically means, the speed at which you talk to, whether you're making some or many pauses, whether you're using many filler words like or I don't know, depends. Whether you have maybe Spanish filler words there, whether you repeat too much, whether you have trouble, you're struggling a bit with articulating the words or so. So that's going to count as fluency. You got to also, of course, have some pronunciation. And when I say pronunciation, I don't really mean, having an accent. Having an accent is okay. But of course, you want to make sure that they are going to be able to understand what you're saying. So that's your goal, right? Even when learning English, that's the goal, communicating. So it also counts. Maybe about how you stress the words, the rhythm that you keep, how you pronounce the vowels, for instance. So it is necessary to have some, to work on your pronunciation overall. They're also going to be looking at your vocabulary, which is basically, the words that you use, whether you have an extensive vocabulary or you show that you have one, whether you're including different types of words, you're using synonyms, whether you're using the right words, like the right word choice. So the good thing about vocabulary is that you can always kind of, improve in this area. So I think I'm going to be giving you some words that you can check out, and also some topics so that you can, study for specific speaking vocabulary. What else? They also, for the 4 tasks, they're going to also be looking at how coherent your response is. If they ask a question about work and you go off topic and start talking about relationships, then it wouldn't make sense, and that's gonna take some points out because of lack of coherence. Whether what you're saying makes sense, whether it's logical. In the case of the integrated tasks, they're going to be looking for relevant information. They want you to summarize as much as you can, but also, basically explain what is necessary to be explained. What else? You also need to sound a bit natural. So I always say, it's in the speaking section, it's not so much like the writing one. So a lot of people think that in the speaking section, they gotta sound like robots and be super like sophisticated and so, but that's not really the truth. In the speaking section, that's your chance to show that you can have a usual normal conversation, because that's the way that it's supposed to be. You gotta sound natural. That's why you need to chill out a bit and relax, because they're gonna be able to notice that. Obviously nervous. You get nervous, and nervousness, gives us a hard time, but I'm sure you can get through it just by practicing. And finally, the easiest one is topic development, which basically means how you structure your response, whether you're, whether you have an intro and whether you use transitions. Basically, as long as you follow the structure of the template that we will be giving you, then you're going to be more than fine, because that's pretty much it. So yeah, I think those are some things that you may want to know about how they score your responses. And another thing, they're scored, they're evaluated by both like a proctor and also a human. So, it's going to be all balanced. They are going to be able to, to evaluate you fairly. Okay. Any questions so far before we start with the first question or with the first task? Okay. So I think if not all, then a lot of you already know how this independent question works, because we have been seeing this in the, in the speaking sessions that we have. So you probably know by now how this works, and maybe it's going to be a bit repetitive, but we're going to be trying to, look at it in a more in-depth way. So the independent question 1, is always about, it's about familiar topics like work or college or education, or, debatable topics like the environment, or sometimes medical decisions. I've seen questions that are like about euthanasia or something like that. So they are usually about controversial topics, if you will, but also usually they tend to be very casual, like conversations that you would have in an everyday setting. So it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Now, in this task, what they do is basically they give you a prompt, a question, and the question is usually asking you to choose between your options. So they always give you like a bunch of options. You got to choose the one that suits you better and defend that choice. Regarding time, if you guys remember, you have 15 seconds to prepare your response, and then you have to speak for 45 seconds and deliver your response. Remember that they don't record anything that's, outside those 45 seconds. So if you run out of time, or if you start speaking before the time, it's going to be a problem. That's not going to count. So you got to be real careful with this. The good thing is that they let you know, they let you know, they're like, so you can start speaking after the beep, and then you hear a beep. and then you can start speaking. And then you're able to look at a timer there, and you know how much time you have left, so you can organize your response better. And of course, you know when the time is over, so that you can, start finishing off and getting ready when you're about to achieve or to get to those 45 seconds. So any questions regarding the structure? Okay. So regarding the types of questions, I don't think that's important that we see that. There are different types of questions, like 4 or 5, even more maybe, but it's always the same. You have, for instance, the agree or disagree type, which is like, do you agree or disagree with this statement? With this statement. And then you have a statement, like a claim, something like, it's better to drink water than to drink Coke or to drink soda. So maybe you have that. Than soda. Or soda or water is better than soda, maybe. Or you may have something like, do you prefer to drink water or do you prefer to drink soda? You just have to choose the one that you prefer. Or maybe you have something like, the government is trying to forbid drinking soda. Do you think that this is a good idea? Or sometimes I've seen, choose one of the following, and then you have soda, water, or tea, maybe, and you have to choose one and defend that option. So I don't think that's relevant, really, because it's not going to make your response change. You could use the same template and even the same arguments, no matter what type of question you get. So that shouldn't be a problem. There are some questions that are a bit more open. They're not so close, like, do you agree or disagree? So sometimes you have something like, what is your opinion? What is your opinion about this? Drinking water is better than drinking soda. What do you think? So this may look like it's a bit more flexible, because the first tip that I'm going to be giving you all is always have a strong position, have a strong mind about it. If you're going to answer this question, then the best thing you guys can do is just choose one, like water, and support that. Don't try to compare and contrast the advantages or disadvantages or the good things and the bad things about water and soda, because it's going to make your life a bit harder. It's going to defer the structure, it's going to make it not so easy for the listener to understand what you're saying and what your position is. So it's always better to just go for one. However, when you have this, what is your opinion, then some people think that, that in that case, you could do that. You could say, well, I think that water and soda are kind of the same for me. So I don't really have a mind about it. But still, the best shot that you could have is go for one and support that one. So have a strong mind as you could for this question. Unless, for some reason, they're like compare and contrast drinking water versus drinking soda. In that case, if you have something like compare and contrast, then yeah, maybe you could do that. But I've never seen this. It's very rare. I remember I've seen one of these questions, but not in the speaking, in the writing. So, in case you have one of those, then maybe you could do that. But I don't think that's going to be the case. So basically, always try to choose one and support it. All right. So some general tips I could give you is you don't have to be honest, first of all. So for instance, I've seen some people tell me, okay, but what do I do if I don't have any preference? If I don't drink neither soda nor water. So what do I do then? So it's not really about you, it's not about, they're not trying to evaluate your values or your beliefs or how good you're as a person or what you like or dislike. They really don't care, So this is an English test. So it's about the way you explain it, the way you speak, and so on. So don't try to be honest, don't overthink it. You can just make basically everything up. You can create your own story, and it's not supposed to be true either. Another tip I could give you is try to make it personal. even if it's not personal, you know, even if it's about some people think this while others think that. So instead of saying in your response something like, well, I think that the people who say that are crazy because this really said that. So instead of doing it that way, talking about other people, try to always talk about yourself. So make it personal, talk about you, you know, tell me what you think or what you prefer or what works better for you. So I don't know about those people, but for me, this is what it works because of this reason. So always try to make it personal. And when you're giving examples that you're gonna have to give, try to be specific, you know? I think some questions are like, provide specific details, you know? So they want details. They want you to be as specific as you could be. So yeah, you know, if you want to mention like names, you can say, so my uncle Peter did this. So that's okay, you know, you can be specific. It's not a problem. It's even better. Now, you don't have that much time. You know, 45 seconds is almost nothing. So don't try to make it so long. And I think that the best thing you guys can do is focus on just one or two things and elaborate on them. But don't try to provide tons of arguments and, you know, because that's not going to take you anywhere. And it's just going to make your response look disorganized and you're probably going to end up running out of time. So don't worry if it's like 40 seconds or even 35 seconds long. You know, the last 10 seconds you could give a conclusion and that's it. So it doesn't really have to be that long. And don't hurry up as well. You know, a lot of people are like, well, I don't have that much time, so I'm going to speak super fast so that I can say a lot of things. So that's not the goal. Just speak at your normal speed. You got to practice, of course. You know, practice makes perfect. And when you're practicing, don't just be like a passive practice. You know, you got to be an active student. So when you're practicing, try to record your responses, evaluate yourself, see if you have any grammar mistakes or if you could have done anything better, and try to, you know, implement those tips that you're gonna give yourself in the next one. So what else? Don't use phrases or words if you're not confident about them. So that's actually another mistake that a lot of people make. They're like, so I gotta be super sophisticated and I'm gonna use this word that I have never used before. So try not to do that. It's just gonna make you get mixed up. And I know that I'm speaking for too long, but the final one is try to sound confident about what you're saying and don't hesitate so much, you know, try not to make it sound like you're asking questions. Like if you say, well, I prefer to drink water because it's better. So don't try to like question yourself, you know? So try not to hesitate so much and try to basically explain your arguments as if they were facts. So instead of saying, well, I think it might be better. So try to be like, well, water is better, you know? So try to sound confident with what you're saying, even if you have no idea what you're saying, or if it's not true, or if you're just making it up, just try to sound confident. And also excited, you know? Try to speak loud and clear and like you were really passionate about this topic. And well, you know, exaggerate it as well. So with the pronunciation, you can maybe even exaggerate it a bit because sometimes you're pronouncing the words good, but I don't know, it's always better if you're like emphasizing on certain things. We're gonna actually talk about it later. But basically that's it. Any questions now so far? Okay, good. Because now we're going to be looking at an example. So this is the first example that we're going to try to figure out how we could answer it. So perhaps, Jasmina, do you mind reading the question?
Some people like to go to bed early at around 9 p.m., while others prefer to stay up late. What do you prefer? Provide specific details to support your explanation.
Okay, so we got two options here. Going to bed early or sleeping early. and staying up late. And you need to stay what you prefer, right? And of course, you need to explain why. So in order to answer the question, what you need to do is basically provide, of course, first thing you need to decide what your position is going to be, right? Okay, I think this is, all right, maybe not here. All right, so first thing you need to make up your mind and decide what you're going to be defending. So what do you guys think? What is easier to talk about? Staying up late or going to bed early? Which one would you go for?
I will go with the stay up late.
Okay, perfect. Staying up late. Now, next thing you have to do is think of one or two arguments to justify that. So, you don't have a specific requirement here that says, so provide two arguments or two reasons and two examples, or one argument and one example. So you have to take advantage of that fact, My advice, what I could tell you guys is, like, at least, the majority of people that I've seen, it's always better to go for just one, like one reason and one example. However, there are people that, speak fairly fast and they have a lot of ideas, and, you gotta see really what works for you. So you can go for either two or one. But usually, I think, if you just choose one, then you're gonna be able to elaborate it a bit more. You're not gonna run out of time. And I don't know, it's kind of easier. But it really is up to you. Right now, let's do two, just to, see how we would look. And then you guys are gonna try with both. So can anybody tell me why staying up would be better than going to bed early? What could be one reason?
Now I don't have job, so I prefer to stay up late because I don't have to get up early.
Okay, so you don't have to get up early. All right, but this is just, all right. No, it's okay. Okay, and one more reason why staying up late is better.
Maybe you could be more productive at night.
Okay. Perfect. So that's right. You can be more productive at night and you don't have to get up early. So great. I like them both. And what I like about them is that they're different, redundancy. That's another mistake that some people make here. And I think that's because they want to say too much. It's better to say less, but not to repeat everything that you're saying. So if your arguments are similar, then maybe you want to consider just joining them and providing one, because if you separate them and they're kind of the same, then it's going to make you sound a bit redundant. So you want to be really careful with this. In this case, it's perfect because they're both different. And I also like that you're making it personal. You're not really saying, so staying up late is better because, it's, I don't know, it's good for your health. So that would be like a general thing, right? That you could actually say for the other one. But these examples here, they're personal to you because that's what they're asking, right? They're saying, what do you prefer? So you can for sure say that you prefer staying up late because you yourself don't need to get up early. Maybe there are other people that want to get up early, but that's on them. You right now don't have to get up early, so you can stay up late. And just you're productive at night. You think you're productive at night. It's not that everyone's productive at night. So another thing I want to say now that we're here, try not to present like counterclaims. So in your response, just try to talk about this. You don't really need to acknowledge that this is just for you because they are going to know. You don't have to say something, wow. Some people would say that you're more productive in the morning. However, for me, I'm more productive at night. So you don't really have the need to do that to give those counterclaims, because again, it's just going to make you sound unsure. So you just need to say, well, I prefer this because I am more productive at night. You know what I mean? Okay. And all right. So if you're going to give two arguments, then I really don't think that you're going to be able to give two examples as well, like one argument or one example for each argument. But let's just try it that way, you know, just to give an example. And the next one we can do with one and one. So, okay, regarding examples, I think you guys already know this as well, you know, because it's kind of the same as in the writing. So you have three choices when giving examples. You could give like the personal ones, which are about you, you know, your personal experience about something. You could give general examples, which are, you know, in general, like if usually with conditionals, right? If you don't have to get up early and because maybe you are on vacation, then you can stay up late doing maybe or chatting with your friends, right? So those are examples, but they're not about you. They're not stories. So that would count as a general one. And you can also kind of support these two by stating facts, right? You can make up something. You could say, so I've read in this magazine that people who stay up late tend to be more productive than people who don't stay up late, or that our brains work better at night. So maybe that's not true, you know, but you can just make it up. You could say, so I've read that our brains are more, I don't know, are fresher at night. So which wouldn't make that much sense, but it's okay. You know, it doesn't have to really be true. So you can just make up something. So what do you guys think? What examples could you give for these arguments? Come on, guys. Can anybody give me an example?
How what I say, in this moment, I don't have job, so I don't have to get up early. And actually, I'm studying a master and I have too much to read, so I can read at night. No, I don't know.
Okay, that's a perfect example. So you read, okay, let's say reading. All right, so perfect. I like that you're giving that story. And I also like the tenses that you're using. So, you know, I know that in the writing, if you guys remember that, I said that with personal examples that you can, you know, use different tenses, you know, just to show off that you know that in the writing section. So you could say, I have been doing this for, you know, for this time or for this long. And I started, and you could use the past, and you could even use the present perfect. So, but that was really more for the writing section. Here in the speaking, try not to make it so complicated because it's gonna make you more, you're gonna be more likely to make more grammar mistakes. So if you keep your tenses simple, like in the simple present, right now I am, you know, I don't have classes in the morning. I don't have to get up early. So at night I can read this novel that I like so much. So it's all in the simple present. And it's a personal one. So you can do that. Of course, that if you feel 100% confident with your tenses and with your grammar, then why not? You know, you could also give an example in a different tense. You could say, so when I was at college, I don't know, my classes were in the afternoon, so I didn't have to get up early, and I stayed up late doing my assignments. So you can do both, but what I want to say is always try to keep it a bit simple. You know, you don't really need to complicate yourself so much. Okay, and for the other one, can anybody give me a different example?
I can say that I'm taking a course by online on Europe, and that course starts lately at night.
All right. Okay, that's good. So, okay. But is this an example for this, that you're more productive at night?
I would go on staying up late because that, not because I have to stay up late.
Okay. Okay. But all right. It makes sense. That's okay. You can for sure say that. But usually what it's better that you do is that you tell me why one option is better than the other. Not exactly because you have to, but because it's better, because you prefer to, right? Not because you have to. They're not really asking, so what do you do? Do you stay up late or do you go to bed early? But they're asking, what do you prefer? So in case you didn't have those classes or that online course that you're taking, would you stay up late still? I don't know. But you could say, what you could say though is say, so right now I'm taking this online course at night, and I chose to take it at night because I feel that I'm more productive at night, and I feel that ever since I'm taking the course at night and not in the mornings, maybe, I'm getting better grades, or I'm learning more, or I pay more attention in class, or my brain works better. I don't know. That's something that you could say related to this course, maybe. Okay. Another thing also that you could do when you're giving examples is not comparing, but giving an example or telling me why the other option is not good. Why going to bed early wouldn't work for you. And for the arguments as well. You could say, well, I prefer this because if I go to bed early, then anyhow, I'm not able to sleep. I overthink things too much at night. So I cannot really go to bed early. So you're telling me why going to bed early is not good, And for your example, you could do the same. You could tell me, so there was this time when I went to bed early and I don't know, I didn't prepare any of my stuff for the next day. And in the morning, I didn't feel like I was feeling like doing that. So, or I overslept in the morning. So I end up doing nothing all day. I don't know. So you could also kind of give an example for the other one and tell me how, the other option didn't work for you. So, or doesn't work for you right now. So you could say, whenever I go to bed early, this happens to me. So that's why I prefer to stay up late, so you can kind of play around with that. But yes, just say. Is that okay? Any questions so far? Okay. So regarding the template, guys, to be honest, this is just like the simple or the simplest template that you would find, And the important thing is not really the words that I'm using here. I'm actually going to be giving you some useful words and phrases that you could use to replace these words or to just use in your response. But the important thing is that you keep the structure, no matter if you're giving one argument or if you're giving two, try to keep the structure because this is like the traditional argumentative structure of a speech, of a text, of anything, You start by giving your introduction, which is your position, but by telling me what you think. So I think that this is better, or I think that I prefer this. And then you give an argument, you give an example, argument and example. So it's always going from bigger, from the generals to the specifics, to smaller. So try to keep that structure. Try not to, change things. So like, if you start, for instance, with your example, if you start by telling me, okay, so, well, there was this time when I went to bed early and I didn't do anything and I wasn't productive and so blah, blah, blah. And then you tell me your argument. So since when you go to bed early, you're not productive, and then you tell me your position. I think that this is better. So that would be changing, the structure. And I really recommend you guys don't do that, because as I was saying, they want direct and, simple and easy responses. So try to keep the structure. The words, you can change them as you like. You can use different transitions. You can say to start, to begin with, instead of first, or to illustrate, or exemplifying, or instead of I definitely believe that, you could say personally. So change that as you like, but try to keep the structure. Okay. All right. So if you're gonna give one example, then this is what you need to do. You start with your intro. I definitely believe that, and you tell me what your position is. That staying up late makes you, or is better than going to bed early. And then you tell me your reason, right? Since I'm more productive at night. To illustrate, there was this time when I went to bed early and I didn't do anything. And at the end of the day, I don't know, I overslept the next morning. So I didn't have my things ready for work and so on. You just make something up. Or if you have two, then it's kind of the same thing, but you're adding these transitions here, like first and in addition. You're probably gonna see some templates that try to summarize the arguments at the beginning, something like, I believe that for the reasons that first and second. I wouldn't recommend you do that, because it's gonna take you too much time. So try not to do that. Okay, guys. So since you already know how to do it, anyone wants to try? Just to give the example, you could use these arguments, or you could use one of them, or you can go with your own ones. So anybody wants to try? Okay. Okay, then I'm gonna have to choose one randomly, like maybe Sergio, you there?
Yes.
Okay, do you think you can try to put the words together and come up with a
Yes.
response? Okay, so I'm not gonna measure your time, just go ahead now.
The last statement, right?
I mean, this sample here. How would you answer the question based on what we've said? So how would you answer this question?
Okay. With the arguments that we put in other.
It's up to you, really. You can use them, or you can, if you prefer, so you can go with different ones.
Okay.
Okay, so what would you say?
Okay. First of all, I like to go to bed earlier at around 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. because I felt that in the next day I can organize better my time and take advantage of my time, and also I can do a good jobs in all my activities. So I think that it's better to go early at around 9 p.m. and because it's good for our health.
Okay, good. Sergio, thank you so much. Perfect. All right, thanks. So you had, some pretty good arguments in there. I didn't notice grammar mistakes or anything, but I would like to, try to keep the structure. So for instance, I think you kind of provided 3 arguments. You said, so because I can organize my stuff better the next day, because I can work, I think I can do a better job at what I'm doing. And at the end, you said that it's also good for your health. So I would try to focus on just maybe 2 of them and go in that order, So instead of telling me that at the beginning, so I prefer to go to bed early since it's good for your health. And I can organize my things better. And also I can do this other thing. So if you're going to give 2, then try to add these transitions here and try to add at least 1 example. Like, I prefer this, and just tell me your position, if you're going to give 2. So I definitely prefer to go to bed early. And then you say, first, I know that it's good for your health. It's an example, and then you tell me something, This one time that I didn't go to bed early, I was feeling nauseous the next morning. So try to go in that order, Okay. All right. Can anybody else do it? One more before I give you guys some tips here. Maybe Fernanda.
Yes.
Okay. So would you please go? The same question. What would you say here?
Alrighty. So I start?
Yeah, please. Go ahead.
Okay. I prefer to go to bed early because can I organize my day and I can be more productive in the morning. For example, if I get up to 8 o'clock, can I do exercise, take a good breakfast, and can organize what I do in the morning and also in the afternoon.
Okay, so perfect. I like that you were giving the example. You were being a bit more specific. So I love that. Great. Careful with the modal verbs, right? Like can. Careful with the grammar. Don't invert the sentences as if they were questions. So instead of can I organize my things, it will be I can organize my things, right? Okay, guys. So now I'll give you I think this is gonna be real useful. So there are some phrases that you're gonna find yourself using a lot when it comes to this response. For instance, the phrase, I think, you're gonna mention it all over again in the response. So just practice and try to change that, try to change, for instance, instead of saying, I think, here are some useful phrases or words that you can use. For instance, you could say, when it comes to deciding when or what time to go to bed, I prefer this, Or instead of saying, I think, so I think that going to bed earlier is better. You could say, the way I see it, going to bed earlier has a positive impact in your health, the way I see it, instead of I think, or in my opinion, or personally. You could also say, to be honest, I prefer to do this. And it's also good to reinforce, what you're saying, or you could say, to be brutally honest, or to be 100% honest, I prefer that. Or if you want to change the way that you're starting, you could use this structure here, which has a good grammar in it, Instead of saying, I prefer to do that, you could say, if I were to choose between going to bed early or staying up late, I I always go for, or I will always try to go to bed as early as I can, you know? So here you have some good grammar. If I were to choose, or if I had to choose, and that's gonna add some points to your response. The same, I think, you know, if you ask me, this is better, or to me, this is better. To my mind, as far as I'm concerned, I'm more productive at night, you know, or I'd say I'm more productive by night. I believe, I reckon, I consider, those are better verbs than saying I think. Or if you want to add it like a little spice there, I don't know, if you want to, for instance, this is an idiomatic expression, right? This is a no-brainer. You could say, so to me, this is a no-brainer. I would always try to go to sleep as early as I can, you know, so it's gonna be more natural. So those are some useful phrases that you could try to use in your response. What else? There are some grammar things that I've noticed that, you know, a lot of people struggle with, and those would be like comparatives and superlatives. That's the first thing that I've seen, you know, that I've noticed. And that's something that you really are gonna need, you know. You could say, to me, doing stuff at night is, and I've noticed this mistake, you know, is more easy. And that's gonna take up some points. So you could say it's easier, right? The right thing to say. So just make sure that you have this grammar, like there's grammar lessons covered, that you're confident with them. The same goes with gerunds, right? If you say going to bed earlier is better, that's a gerund, right? Going to bed. I'm not saying go to bed. So those are very common mistakes I've noticed. The indefinite article, the. So for instance, the people prefer to go to bed early. You know, that is not really supposed to be there. So just people prefer to go to bed early. Plurals, like people and person, I've seen a lot of mistakes like that, like persons or childs. So those irregular plurals, I know they are confusing, but try to master them. Conditionals that you're always going to use, you know, if you want to be productive, then you should go to bed early. And this is just like something extra, like sentence structure. In order not to sound the same, you could do some inversions, like, I don't know, maybe adding the subordinate clause at the beginning. Like instead of saying, I prefer to go to bed early since I'm more productive in the morning, you could interchange it. You know, you could say, since I'm more productive in the morning, I prefer to go to bed early. So it gives it a change, you know? You could also use the structures like not only but, using an inversion, like not only am I able to do more stuff in the morning, but I also, I'm also happier, or I'm also more excited about things in the morning. I don't know. So those types of structures that you know may be helpful when you're giving your response. What else? Try not to use so much words like because and but or so. I think so is fine. You know, it's kind of impossible to not to say so. But because, you know, since you're justifying everything, it's very common. So I prefer this because, or because I think, that's very common. So instead of because, try to say since, due to the fact that, I don't know, given that, considering, for us, what else? And, you know, in addition, moreover, what's more, or but, you could change that with however, nevertheless. Those are all connectors, you know, transitions that you could use. So check out some transitions as well. Maybe we could add it here. Transitions. So yes, those are some maybe tips I could give you. What else? If you have some extra time at the end, like 5 or 10 seconds, you could provide a conclusion. And the conclusion doesn't have to be that complex. You could always say something like, so that's why I believe so, or so that's why I think so. Or so that's why I believe that going to bed early is the better option. Or you could, there was one structure that was really cool here. I don't know. I don't remember. So yeah, but basically, you know, you can fill that time. You don't really have to start something new if you're running out of time. And what else? If you ever get stuck with useful phrases, let's add one more here. If you ever get stuck with something you don't know how to continue, move on. And you could say just like, so moving on, and you get stuck, you lose one word, and you're like, moving on, and you change to something else. Try to not get stuck, you know, just especially if it's because of one word. Don't look for the perfect words, just try to, I don't know, explain yourself. What else? Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. The good thing is that we have one more class to just for this task, you know, so tomorrow you're going to practice with your practice teacher, but also on Thursday, we're going to be going through this as well. So it's going to be all about for practice because we have already covered the theory, I think. So you guys are going to do it, and maybe I could give you some tips for that. So any questions now that we're here? Or comments or anything to say? Okay, guys. So if you don't have questions, then please, I just started today's poll. So if you could please answer those questions before you leave. Okay, guys. So I'll see you on Thursday.
See you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, teacher.